Well, I used to be a bin man.
Okay, you used to be a bin man. Well, we're all bin men, aren't we? On a Wednesday and a Thursday, we take the bin out.
No, I did it for 6 months.
Actually,
Don't be silly.
No, he's told me this.
How can you lift a bin up?
Oh, it's size, is it?
Yeah.
It's all about that, is it?
Yeah.
Actually, no. When I started it, it was soon after they went from bins to bags.
To
Bags.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to carry bins, you had to carry bags.
Was that your first job?
Yeah.
So you left school and became a...
Yeah,
I'm
but that
sorry,
was just during the...
between
Don't devalue it.
No, I'm not devaluing it.
No, I'm trying to work out what...
Listen to what Stu said earlier.
What order it was in which you did things?
Proud.
Was it before... was that before or after the working in the garage?
Don't go there.
So here it is. It's the podcast nobody asked for. 3 guys in a kitchen, drinking coffee and having a chat.
Love the shirt.
Well, that's what I work for, don't I?
Of course it is.
So I get all the Formula 1 merchandise.
I think...
And
If you're a good boy, I might get you one. Look, in fact,
you don't even like Formula 1, do you?
In fact, I think this one would fit you better.
This is extra large.
Is it really?
Yeah. Stop looking at the tits.
It's very figure-hunting, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's...
What a polite way to say it.
Yeah. And like me.
Put his coat back on.
Taking the piss. There's only one person who takes the piss on this
No,
podcast.
that's
me.
it. No, you can't have it.
No, I'm going to sit there now because you make me feel conscious of your nipple.
I'm going to make you a cup of tea.
You can't sit with your coat on.
I'm sitting with my coat on.
Don't sit with your coat
No,
on.
because you're not staring at my nipples.
I don't want to stare at your nipples.
You were staring at my nipples.
You can't sit with your coat on. It looks unnatural.
Save it for the podcast.
Perverts.
It looks unnatural. It's not.
What looks unnatural?
No,
Really?
no,
No, you look unnatural.
it's just that's not relaxing. I don't feel
Andy,
relaxed.
I've been here 4 minutes, right? And you've already undressed me.
No. I didn't.
Right, hold on a minute now. Right, I'm just going to into a car.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, okay.
Got a spare t-shirt.
I know.
No, it's not a spare t-shirt.
No. Is it a hood?
No. Demonstrate what I do in the morning, thinking about you, load of tossers.
What's he doing?
You've upset him, you have. You realise that?
He started it, didn't he?
Put his tea on, that'll keep him happy.
Oh, he's got leftover Easter bunnies.
Oh, wow.
What did you just...
Thank you, my friend.
Oh, lovely. Where's yours?
No, I don't bring one from the south, do
No.
I?
No, why not?
For the guests.
For the...
Go.
Can I just point out that
Yeah.
when somebody rocks up a week after Easter with lint Easter
They were
bunnies...
£3 from Sainsbury's.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Don't start.
What?
Otherwise, I'm going to put a massive deposit down and then I'm going to come back here big style.
Wow.
Wow. I don't even know what that means.
Nor do I.
It's obviously street talk.
Yeah, it's getting down with the kids.
He's going to buy... Is he buying me a house? Was it?
Yeah, man.
Okay, keep going.
Terrible.
If you don't mind me, Andy, I wanted to talk about you a little bit because you've talked in the past about your kind of difficulties with depression and so on.
Yes.
And you did mention to me once that one of the things that you got involved in that helped you was boxing. Can you describe what that was all about?
So I was going through a difficult time and I started to see a hypnotherapist, cognitive behavioral hypnotherapy. Whether people believe or don't believe in hypnotherapy, I think it's a personal choice. It worked well for me. But during those sessions, and they were sort of 2-3 hour sessions, during one of the sessions, and my therapist was a guy called Dave Kilmurray, and I'm sure he won't mind me sharing that. I have invited him at some point if he wants to come and have a chat with us. He's off the wall crazy. You know, these aren't therapy sessions where you sit down And, so I've got no idea. I'm in a really dark, bad place at this point in time. So I'm going into the room and I'm sitting down with this guy.
And you're paying for this?
I'm paying considerable amounts of money for this.
Should be advised by a crazy man.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay.
He wears these
Yeah.
bright, vibrant suits. His suit collection is all over. It's just crazy.
It's a bit like Llewellyn Bowen kind of character.
The suit collection,
Just so we
very
can get
similar.
a picture of what the guy looks like.
Yeah, bald head.
Oh, not long hair then.
No,
Completely different.
yeah. But the suit collection, the
With the colours and his garish outfit.
Yeah. He's such an excitable character. And I'm sitting down there and, I'm sort of like, right, okay, I've never done this before. Well, I've had therapies before, talking therapy, where I've, discussed issues with someone. And then I'm sitting here and the guy's like, right, have a seat. And he jumps up and he does a magic trick. And I'm there going, right, hold on. I'm paying a lot of money. And for the first 20 minutes of this session, it's you doing bloody magic tricks.
Did he do a bunny?
He didn't pull a bunny out of a hat. And he's just off the wall, kind of, he's bouncing around the room. And it's like, what is going on with this guy?
Bit like Karate Kid then.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Was it a padded room?
No. I like the incense burning in the background.
Does it?
And,
Bit of sitar music.
and he's got like a little figurine of Donald Trump on his desk, and he starts talking about
punching it.
yeah, he's like this Donald Trump, and he's got all this confidence, and then he comes in, and I'm like, this guy's playing with figurines on his table, and now I'm here for a therapy session. What is going on? That was my first session, 2.5, 3 hours long. I know.
And you went back for another one.
But I'll tell you the reason why I went back, and I'm going to come on to boxing, but also the two things here are interlinked. The reason I went back is because I came out of there feeling so good, because in between all of the laughter and the jokes and the magic tricks and the playing around with Donald Trump figurines, he was getting my story. He was drawing it out of me, and I wasn't even aware that he was doing it. And then at the end, you go through the little bit of hypnotherapy and you come out of the room and you're like, wow, okay, that was actually quite an experience. And I went back and I saw him on quite a few occasions. And then to go now to the boxing.
Before you go there, though,
Yeah.
when you came out of the room
Yeah.
and you'd been slightly hypnotised,
Yeah.
how did you know what you were doing if he'd hypnotised you?
No. So, no.
I don't think that was actually hypnotism then, though, was it?
No. Well, no. So 3 hour session,
Oh, he's fine.
2 hours. I'm gonna kill him.
Hey, this is serious stuff.
This is serious stuff. I mean, come
It's
on.
not serious.
It's very serious with humour involved.
Humour. Bring in the humour.
Always
It's
bring in the humour.
absolutely
You know,
fine.
that thing about distraction is, I worked a lot, when we were working in Jamaica, that we had a psychologist on the team. And he used to talk about when he worked with young people, like in this home, like, and he would do anything. And it could even be something like washing up. He said, I will never sit in front of someone and try to talk to them. We will do something. And then I'll just start talking to them. Because it's about the distraction there where they don't think they're actually talking about what they need to, but they
Yes.
actually are talking.
And yeah, that's it. And you've built that. That's the point. You built that relationship. Okay, Dave did that with me over the space of initially a couple of hours, but then I'm going back. And the more we're having a laugh and just having a chat, it's informal. And you suddenly find yourself talking about things that otherwise, if I was sitting in a room with a therapist sitting directly opposite me, asking me questions like, and how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
I'm just going to be like, because that's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
I'm not dealing really truly with it. I'm not giving it my all because I'm so focused on the questions that they're asking me.
Yeah.
Whereas with Dave, he was utilizing humor, magic tricks, all of that kind of stuff in order to draw out what was going on. He made me feel relaxed. And then in one of the sessions, he says, we have a little bit of a laugh and a joke and we're having a bit of a chat. And he looks out the window and he says, it's a nice day, isn't it? Let's go outside. And I'm like, okay, go outside. Fine, whatever. I'm thinking we're going to sit maybe in a little Zen garden and he's going to do the hypnotherapy outside. Go out there. He's got 2 boxing gloves and a set of pads. And he's like, right, let's Says, I just want you to, says that your left hand, that's number 1, and your right hand, that's number 2. And obviously, like the pad work that, and he's just like, I just want you to punch these.
I hope you won't punch you like that, though.
I wasn't punching like
That was
twist. And he never said I was good at it. And all of a sudden, my mind is now on the boxer, and I'm focusing on hitting these pads. 1, 2, left hook, right, and that's where I am in my mind. My mind is nowhere else at that point in time other than doing this. And then he put me in touch with a group up in Eastern Green, and I got myself some 1-to-1 with a boxing trainer there. And I did that for quite a few months every week. And I was going there, and that 1 hour a week, I wasn't thinking about anything else. There was no issues in the world going on for that 1 hour of the week, because that's what I was taking it out on the pads and, all the other physical, because it's not, boxing isn't just about punching things. You've also got the other physical aspects of it as well. And it helped me a lot. And
so you recognized what it felt like after doing a session.
Yeah.
And did that then make you come back on a week by week basis because you recognize what it did?
Oh, absolutely. I was coming back, and I think, Stu, you alluded to it earlier on about other people noticing it. Other people that knew that I was in that dark place, other people that I was sharing what was going on with me, my feelings with, they told me, you're in a great place now, aren't you? We can see that change in you over the last few months, where you've gone from being at this. In fact, to be fair, it wasn't even a few months. This was sort of a matter of weeks, really, from the point at which I started the hypnotherapy to the point at which I'm now in the gym. It was a matter of weeks, and everybody recognized that I was this very different, happier person as a result of it, because I'd found a bit of a coping mechanism that was working well for me. I should have carried on. We've discussed this early on in the podcast, that I stopped doing it, and I really wish I hadn't.
Come to me.
I'm thinking about that now. I'm thinking about that because I'll be honest.
Pretend you're over 50.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not in a particularly good place at the moment. Over the last, few weeks has been a bit of a difficult time for me personally, which I'm not going to discuss on the podcast. But I do think that I need something to get my focus back.
And I say something about Ash. The conversations we have had on Mondays has been I'm not going to say by far, but above any other conversation I had with anyone since my partner passed away, the most helpful, the most useful, something, I know we ain't done it for a few, but something I actually look forward to going to was to have a chat with Ash. And I just found it quite amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The funny thing is that when...
It's not funny.
No.
Bloody hell, Ash.
I think what I was gonna build on that a little bit and just say that, when you talked earlier on about, did I feel angry after Anne passed away and all that kind of stuff? Well, we all find ways or are directed in ways in which to deal with these things. And doing these podcasts has been amazing because that's allowed me to kind of express how I feel in certain situations, certain topics that we talk about. I talk about what happens and so on. But talking about what Balli's just said about us getting together and having conversations about our experiences and what's gone on, you were a little bit kind of you were a little
At
bit
the beginning, about even starting,
reserved about doing it.
Reserved, yeah.
I didn't think my head was in the right space to really want to release anything.
Yeah.
I think that's because I remember, and we did have it out on the podcast. Again, it was very early. It was before Stuart joined us, and he mentioned bumping into you. And and he says about, maybe it'll happen. And I asked you, didn't I, for a few weeks, I was saying, did you hear back from that guy at the gym? And you were kind of a little bit disappointed, weren't you? Because you were like, oh no, I haven't. And I think it's really nice that you two are now doing this. And it's you should be proud that if you found it difficult at the start, that you've actually gotten to that point, because now, I don't imagine it was easy.
No, I think initially he didn't know what to expect. And I asked a couple of times in the gym if he'd come, but in the end, I started talking in the gym with him.
Oh, you're very you're forceful, aren't you?
About what we would be talking about if we got together. And I think within 10 minutes, you realise that perhaps it might be a good idea.
Absolutely.
And so,
and again, the best thing.
And when we do get together, and this is the thing I describe about what it means to talk to somebody who's experienced the same thing and how much more valuable and powerful that is. And I describe it by saying that I can start a sentence and he can finish it off because he knows exactly what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that, there's no short change for that one. You can, you can talk to anybody, but when you talk to somebody with that experience, and I'm now, there are lots of other people. I keep bumping into people who have, kind of not have their partners anymore. And actually, they get so much more out of it because we've done this and we've talked about it, and people recognize that, whatever I say, you're going to understand it.
Yeah.
I think what you're doing is you're a bridge.
Don't call me a bridge.
Okay, Fred, but
Dave,
they're standing there thinking they're alone. And what we're trying to do in this podcast is say, and I say it all the time, just talk.
Yeah, it's you've got the boxing to talk about, youth clubs to talk about what you two guys do when you meet up, the podcast.
Yeah.
Each one of those things is the vessel to get you to where you need to be and helping other people to get to where they need to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. Boxing is a great vessel for so many different things, for controlling or sorry, not controlling, managing anger, managing depression, managing all sorts of things, because boxing for me, if you've listened to it, the podcasts, drinking for me is a bit of a go-to, very much a go-to.
That's been for me as well.
Yeah. And when I was doing the boxing, I wasn't doing that, you know, and I'm going to hold my hands up, over the last few weeks, drinking is coming back into my life again, and I'm not happy with that.
Well, no, we need to discuss that, because
I think you two are aware, aren't you? Probably more than you.
Well, yeah, but
say.
What we're trying to say to the listeners of this is there is a multitude of things out there to help. Okay, the hardest thing is to put your hand up and say, "I need help."
Yeah,
and you're providing that in what you're doing. My friend's doing it with his boxing gym. We're talking about Ash and Balli's bereavement, but think of a child who's lost a parent. Yeah, think with Ash, with his sons, they are isolated as it is because that's their generation. If we can give those children the avenues to go out and talk to somebody that's not their mum or their dad, whoever's been left by the bereavement, that's a powerful message. I want to understand why this generation, the generation before, what's changed? Because we've discussed it. It's always been there.
So when I worked for Fight for Peace, the guy that set it up, he did some research many years ago, and he researched violent gangs in different countries, like almost like wars, but gangs. Like, and one of the biggest things was a lack of hope for the future and not feeling that anything matters more than what I do right now.
Yeah.
And if you have no hope for the future, there's no reason why you're going to obey any rules, any control, whatever, because you think I might not want to be here next week, or might not be in it, or next month, or whatever. And for me, having some hope is fundamental to thinking you want to do something positive with your life.
Yeah.
Because what Why would you want to do it?
And
Have no hope.
And that's a really good point, because I work in the IT industry, and everybody's hearing about AI and how that's going to remove thousands of jobs. Now, children can't all be brain surgeons. They can't all be university. They have to have the opportunity. I know a really smashing young lad who's never had any hope because of his upbringing and so on and so forth. And I've sat down with him and I've said to him, go in the military, right? And this is the reasons why it will suit you to go in the military. And I'm pleased to say he's going in the military later on this year. And he's not academic, but he's a team player, right? He likes physical stuff. And I think what we're not giving the children is that direction, is that listening to them and say, give us what you want to do, and point them in certain things, not to tell them to do it. Go and have a look here. Go and try that.
No,
See
what
what you
opportunity.
think. Exactly.
That's what people.
Exactly. And what you're doing is you're giving them the first step, which is the hardest bit on that, is to come to us and talk to us and control what you're feeling, the frustrations and everything else. But once you've been able to do that, you've then got the ability to go and make something of yourself. You know,
Absolutely.
I met a lad 2 weeks ago, played football with my son Joe, and I said to him, what are you doing with yourself? And I said, I'm a brickie. He said, I've just bought my third house.
What built it?
No. He's a 22-year-old lad, and he's just bought his third house.
That's impressive.
And it is impressive. It's the fact that at 22 years of age, because I said we talked about pensions, I've just bought my third property at 22 years of age.
Mm.
And that's what I'm saying. You've got children who think, I'm never going to get on the housing ladder. I'm never going to do this and that. But if they get the right direction,
Yeah,
they
the
can
point.
go and do it.
That's
And
the
that's what you've got to do. You've got to sit in front of the children and say, not something to be worried about.
Yeah.
Have
So,
you thought of this, and this?
Yeah.
like you just said, not everyone can be I don't know what you said, brain surgeon or whatever. And then not a lot of people can. Not everyone can be a brickie. Not
Correct.
everyone can be a plumber. Not
Correct.
everyone can be. So for me, it's those people that feel they're not going to even be able to do that. How do you support them?
Yeah.
Because they really might have no hope, especially when they say AI are going to take over
Yeah.
this. You could literally say at home is, what really is the point? And
Absolutely.
it's working with those young people to say, well, actually, you know, like I said earlier, if you're a bin man, I don't care what you are, like, you know what I mean? If you do that, do it well and provide what you can provide for yourself and whoever might be relying on you at some point in the future. Like, not everyone is going to be comfortable even sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's life. Right?
You just mentioned the bin men. Just look what's going on in Birmingham. Right? And that's a really important lesson. Those people, those bin men, provide an essential service to our society. If that breaks down, society breaks down. Right? So
The rants take over.
Well, no, but it's a serious point. I'm
Oh,
being
no,
really
it is,
serious on it. Yeah.
What's serious about it is they are fundamental to society such as a doctor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's my point, is that you sit down with them and you say, don't feel embarrassed. If you go to a school reunion and somebody says, what are you doing today, Balli?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a bin man. Wow. What day, what time do you start? How often? You know, it's educating people not to be embarrassed about what they're doing. You know, just because you've got all this materialistic stuff, because you do X, Y, and Z, doesn't mean you can't get it. We sold photocopies, Ash.
Yeah. So there was a story you told me about your interview with Fight for Peace. Do you remember that?
About everything related to Brazil.
Yeah. What was that? How was that interview you went to?
Oh, I went to interview. So when I went for the job at Fight for Peace, they said, like, part of your induction, you'll have to go to Rio for a couple of weeks.
They didn't say you have to wear a mankini, did they?
No, but
Because I would have walked out at that point, because I'm not good in life.
No, yeah.
Well, you're wearing, you know,
Yeah,
you can
it's
see your
tight
nipples
enough, isn't it?
can't you? So-
he's still looking. Still looking.
And the first word he used, Balli?
Yeah.
Nipples.
Nipples, pimples.
I just want one of the shirts. I'm hoping he's going to bring me one.
Yeah. Really. Anyway, but
Sorry.
They said in the interview, like, were you okay to go to Rio? I said no. Just flat said no. And they both looked at me. And I couldn't hold it. And I just burst out laughing. Of course I'm going to go to Rio if you let me. Like, are you crazy? Like, you know?
What's the beach there? What's the beach in?
Copacabana.
Copacabana, Ipanema.
Is that what it's called, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, great.
So yeah, I got to go to Brazil I went a few times. So.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
And you've been doing that for a long time. That's like nearly 30 years, right?
No. I've been working in various sorts of jobs for 30 years, but in that 30 years, there's only been 2 years when I haven't had a job that I really, really liked.
Okay.
And that was working for an employment agency. And I absolutely hated it. Absolutely hated it. But so I feel very grateful and very lucky that I've always gone to jobs that I really, really.
Have you trained up in psychology or anything like that? Therapy?
No, I've been to therapy, but.
I know a good therapist.
It sounds interesting, though, man.
But he has. He has.
What?
He just didn't know it.
I used to deliver training for what we used to do at Fight for Peace. That's part of my big role was going out to clubs. And they would come to us for a week in London and we would do a training course around developing youth programs in their gyms, like around the country. Like, so I've delivered a lot of training and a lot of different things, but enough. Having said that, when we were in Jamaica, we had a psychologist come over from South Africa who runs a boxing gym, but he's a psychologist as well. And he worked with lots of young people in South Africa. And he set up this psychological first aid training, which I helped him to put together because I used to deliver the training. So I helped him set it up and we delivered it to the groups we were working with in Kingston. Don't make someone's situation worse.
Right.
That's
okay.
your number one. Whatever you start from is starting from not making their situation worse.
Yeah.
But I'm really, I mean, Kingston, Jamaica must have been amazing to do.
With
Eye-opening.
Again, I was talking about this to someone yesterday. So Christina had my partner who passed away. She lived in Nelson for decades, like, and we also joke, you keep going about moving to the coast. You don't even move out of Ilston. So my manager, like, one day goes, "Hey, Balli, there's a couple of roles coming up. One's in Jamaica, one's in South Africa." Like, and he goes, "Well, I know the way you've talked about Christina, like not wanting to move and everything, like, and so I'm letting you know because I want to make sure all the trainers know there's this opportunity, like, you know what I mean? But I know you're mostly going to say no." I said, "No, I'm mostly wouldn't." Like, then I was driving back to Carflow and go, "Guys just said there's a possibility of working in Jamaica or South Africa," and I kind of said no without even thinking about it. So I come home. I said to Chris, "I've got something to talk to you. Let's go for a drink, like." So we went out and I said, "Chris, you like reggae?" He said, "Oh, no, yeah." Well, I said, "You like beachy?" "Yeah." "You like sunshine?" "No, to go." And I didn't really want to go South Africa. I wanted to go Jamaica. And I said, "You fancy going to Jamaica?" She goes, What? And then I went for the interview. I got the job and everything. Like, and then Chris goes, "Balli, I don't know if I want to go." I said, "I'm going." So I went out there and then she came over for a while. Then she come back. She came over for a while. But it was absolutely fun. Talk about tough people, tough kids. Talk about tough kids. And I tell you,
When you've got nothing,
I've just been tough. Like, you're running on stones in your bare feet, and it's not even cutting your feet up because you're so used to doing it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like tough like that. Physically, they're on edge.
Yeah.
And this is turning to psychology, that flight or fight instinct.
Yeah.
That is, if that's not developed in the right way, that can kill someone, you know what I mean? It can ruin someone, like, I should say, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's why we did the psychological first aid course with them. And yeah, it was fantastic. I met brilliant people, like, but I had an agreement. I'm coming back on a certain date, and that's when I come back. I had an agreement with Chris. Yeah. I did it because I wanted to challenge myself.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've thought, what am I going to do when I retire?
I could tell you that.
What? Share them.
No, I
You're being facetious again.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep it to yourself. But
Yeah.
you sadistic git.
I
I will do something for kids without a shadow of a doubt.
Drive a coach. So
I'll make a move now, though. Like,
okay, yeah.
I really, really enjoyed that.
Come again.
Come again.
One of the things I'm thinking of is that it's really good about it to come and talk about, his role and his job and all the rest of it. That's great. But I'm thinking that occasionally we should just invite a fourth person, not necessarily to talk about any particular topic,
Just whatever.
but just come and join us on a podcast.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we're not going to have podcasts about topics every time, because some of the great ones were ones where we just sat down and started talking and something came out of it, right? So having a fourth person that's not associated with us on a regular basis would be, so I'm going to invite Balli again, and
Absolutely.
perhaps a couple of other
Well,
people.
hold that thought.
What?
He might not want to come back again.
I think he
I
does.
mean, we're a tough crowd, aren't we? Let's
Sorry,
be honest.
sorry.
It started off with you two attacking me as I walked in. I mean, he's thinking, bloody hell, these supposed to be mates.
Stewie, what is the first rule of being a salesperson?
Listen,
Balli said, "I've loved being here."
I know that.
So why wouldn't you want to?
Why
Why wouldn't you want to?
But what's
in that fruit, right, that you've nicely prepared? He's sitting there and he's thinking, these two are taking the piss out of this guy, and he's just walked in the room. And I'll give you a lint gold bunny.
yeah, because you had them left over.
Yeah.
From the
this morning.
office.
And by the way, that was an afterthought.
You
He had to go back out to get
Because
it. He didn't bring him into first place. did he?
Exactly.
Because it was 5 to 10. I'm never late. You did say I'm never late.
Yes.
True.
I was conscious that I better get in. It's 5 to 10. And I forgot the golden bunnies. And then at one point, I thought, you know what? They can stick the golden bunnies where the sun don't shine.
Did you even buy these, or were they are they from the office?
They were
these
from
gifts to
Where do I
somebody
go?
else?
Where do I go Saturday morning before I come here? I go with my
Lidl.
wife
Lidl.
to go to Lidl,
Yeah.
and then we go to Sainsbury's,
Yeah.
right, to buy my organic
Do you
veg
kind of
and stuff.
raise the level of your supermarket?
Yeah,
you
'cause
go
Lidl
from
don't have very
Lidl
good
to
bread.
supermarket.
Lidl's veg
Sainsbury's.
is not very
Do you
good.
go to Waitrose after?
No, we ain't got Waitrose and Hinkley.
Okay.
So
Only you.
Ads.
I went into Sainsbury's.
Come for Hinkley to come.
Thank you, Balli. You're thinking,
Yeah.
That's commitment, absolutely.
Dedication.
don't put that on the soundtrack. Roy Castle, dedication. and I saw those and I thought, do you know what? I've never met Balli before.
Yeah.
And in any household,
Yeah.
when somebody comes to the household, they normally bring you some chocolate, like Jane did.
That was brilliant.
Right?
Loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, so you love that chocolate. It's the same, it's linked.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not.
milk chocolate.
So were you expecting me to bring something?
No, David. I bought it as a welcome gift.
I think the point
appreciate it.
is that this is an Easter bunny,
Yeah.
and it's not Easter.
Is it out of date?
Is it out of date?
It would have been cheap, wouldn't it? It would have been cheap. It was reduced.
It was £2, 2 pence.
It was reduced.
It was.
That's what I think we're saying that.
See, you'd be no good in a certain environment because you focused on the negative.
Okay.
Right?
Absolutely.
I focused on the positive.
Yeah.
It's linked.
It's cheap.
I never said anything. Forget
For you, that was positive. For him.
What's wrong with that? It can be a positive thing.
Thank you, Balli.
Okay.
I think you need to end because you're on a slope that's going downhill very quickly. Give it me back if you don't want it.
I'm taking my bunny.
Oh.
So here it is. It's the podcast nobody asked for. 3 guys in a kitchen, drinking coffee and having a chat.
That's some fierce Malinois he's got in there.
That's a lovely dog, that is.
Wow.
It is a beautiful dog. So I've got a friend who is a dog handler
For the police?
For the police. And I ended up going to... My daughter wanted to be a dog handler in the army. This is going back about 3 years. And I spoke to somebody who I used to work with, who was in the police force, left, rejoined, and he put me in touch with this guy, dog handler, and he trains the dog in his local school, and he invited me and my daughter over for what I thought was going to be sort of, here's the dog, I'll tell you about the dog, an hour, and we're back home. It was 6 hours we were there for. He brought one of his colleagues, another dog handler. She got in all of the bite suit and stuff, and he did a full day demonstration of what this dog can do. And I fell in love with that dog. So much so that I ended up buying one.
Well, that was before you bought.
That's why I bought Balli, yeah, because this dog is they're just something else. They're so incredible.
What's that dog?
Belgian Malinois.
Was he called Bowie before you bought him? Or did you name him Bowie?
I named him Bowie. He had a...
That must have been confusing for him.
Yeah, probably was, yeah.